strands on a fascinating roller coaster of endless learning, experimentation, and discovery of technology, where the destination is not the end and the journey is the most fun. This is the Helical Brew. With your hosts, Mike, Sura, Jeff, and Elizabeth.
Welcome, everybody. We are now almost to a two-digit episode. Not quite. This is episode 9 of the Helical Brew, and thank you all for episodes you've watched and joining us on our podcast. This last week, I did 3 episodes, pretty much back to back to back, catching up because the editing process is,
Because we don't have an intern.
we don't have an intern. Looking for volunteers for anyone who feels like, I'm still trying to get my nephew on board. He's just too busy. I mean, he's doing like crazy mathematical algorithms for batteries and stuff like that. That's all I can. Wow. That's all I can say. He's pretty busy with what he's doing, which I'm great. It's great to see. He's got a not quite a full-time job, but if we can get him, because he is a very creative guy, and I think some of that would help. But we've got help, right? Jeff is going to help out with the editing, and I'm going to get you all the information you need for that. And also, we have our email address, but I haven't posted it on our iTunes or Spotify, but I'm going to put our email address on there for anyone who wants to inquire with us, looking for sponsors. And
or suggest topics.
Yes, topics would be great, actually.
Feedback
or want to be part of the podcast.
I haven't turned off. We're not the types to turn off comments on our podcast episodes or the podcast itself on YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. So that's entirely possible. You can add comments to those. Those are certainly welcome too. It doesn't have to be an email. But today we thought we'd talk about something I brought up in a previous episode before. When I was mentioning FIRST as my pick of the week, the FIRST Robotics Group, or the website is firstinspires.org. It was an organization that was founded by Dean Kamen and Woody Flowers, Dr. Woody Flowers. And anyway, it just got me thinking, hey, you know what? Why don't we talk about some of the things that inspire youth and high school, even earlier than that, students to go into technical areas, technical fields, and STEM education programs like FIRST is. FIRST is really built around that STEM concept and bringing, interlacing a competitive kind of like football teams for folks that want to compete with their mind as opposed to competing on the field. So just an alternative way to bring competition into it. But at the end of the day, it's about STEM programs and things like that. But also, going beyond that, I was thinking about, why don't we talk as a group about some of the things that, some advice we might have as far as for anyone that's considering going into a field after college or even during college, right? That's one of my pieces of advice right there is don't wait for the job to come after college. Start during college, because things like internships and things like that in high school, even beginning of college, great times to inquire with not only your parents, but your parents' friends, right? And all that network that you have that you don't realize how powerful it is at that time when you're just thinking about, I'm going to school and whatnot. But it's a way to gain access to a tremendous amount of resources without having to try very hard at all, just using your own family network. And that's something that worked really well for me when I was younger, and my brother was already. Having a 7-year-old brother also helps, right? because you got he was out of high school when I started middle school, so that's
not 7-year-old brother, a brother who's got 7 years.
7 years.
Did
old.
I say 7? Yeah. Yes, not a 7-year-old brother. No.
Old.
So find me somewhere in the world where that's actually happened, right? But indeed, yeah, a 7-year difference in age. I had. He was very, very helpful in terms of taking me to places that I wouldn't maybe have been able to see. So, yeah, I thought I'd kick the conversation off like that. I know I'm actually the one on the call that doesn't have kids. So I got involved in FIRST purely because a friend of mine who does have kids, he was like, "Hey, I heard about this FIRST program. Let's start a team." And I joined up and I said, "All right, we'll both be mentors." And little did I know that was I ended up volunteering for that organization later on, and it was really really fun to kind of see, because now all the kids that were on our team are actually well beyond college. Even graduate school, they're all off doing different things, and most of them, I would say, are in the technical space, whether it's engineering or programming, and of course, being in the Bay Area, that I think amplifies that likelihood of ending up in one of those fields. So, yeah, I thought I'd start with you, Jeff, and because I know you've worked with some of the STEM programs in your area, and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So, excuse me, like you, I worked with one of the teachers at my kid's school, which is an elementary to middle school. So they stop at 8th grade. We wanted to get a program going. And right now, as the school stands, this is their second round of being a STEM certified school, the only one, as I know, in Indiana, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's a whole certification process, and it's all integrated within the curriculum from the preschool level all the way up to the 8th grade. So there's some aspects of it throughout. But we started this robotics program, and we did start in First Lego League. That's where we got our start, and that was fun. The first year, I mean, it was all, as you know, it's all programming. There's no teleop, so there's no teleoperation on the robot. So you're kind of, okay, it's strictly programming, and I got to make this work. If it doesn't work, I got to bring it back and do the next thing. But the second year we were involved in that, we got shut out because it was just so explosive, and there's a limitation, really, of the number of events, which is kind of rough.
True.
When you're trying to get more kids,
Especially First Lego
exposure.
League. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get kids exposed to it. So we had a crossroads, and the teacher had a grant that she had gotten, which basically was a VEX robotics starter kit. And it was sitting in the corner for, I don't know, a couple years plus. And we told the kids, it's like, guys, we can't get into First Lego League because of these situations. Our only option, if we're going to continue to do this, is the VEX robotics platform. And man, you would have thought they're like, oh, that's for kids, blah, blah, blah. It's like, do you want to do this or not? Eventually I said, we're going to put it up to a vote for you guys. You want to do it? Great. If you don't, then we're done here. So they took a vote and they said, yeah, we'll do it. And a little consternation in their voices. We did it. And then they started to see some successes, which was like, oh, this is so cool. Now, once they start to see some success, then it's like, oh, we can keep going. And the program is still going to this day, and that's over 10 years now. I've removed myself, pulled back a little bit from it, and you got other parents involved, and that's the key. You can't do it all yourself. You know this, Mike. You try to do it all yourself, you're going to get wiped out just from exhaustion, because it's an everyday Saturday, all day Saturday. And then we got other parents involved, and they're like, well, I don't know anything about this. It's okay. You don't have to. The kids will learn, and you just kind of guide them. That's all they're looking for, is some guidance, and you just push them in the directions that you think this is probably be a good way to go. But yeah, I enjoyed my time doing that, and it's good to see some kids move in those directions. So I do have other thoughts on, we can get to it later, on things that I struggled with because of other outside influences. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
Sure. Yeah, and sorry, you're I mean, obviously going and substituting at school. You're definitely involved in that aspect. Yeah.
I do random things for some unknown reason sometimes.
Somebody says, "Hey, would you mind?" All right.
Like, sure.
Don't we
being
all?
in this
Right?
space, like, you kind of are driven to get more people interested in it, and nothing's as addictive as seeing like that sparkle light up for someone at that younger age, right? Really looking to get into something, and exposing them to that is important. So I just kind of, I have my daughter, she's turning 12 today, so happy birthday to her. And
Happy birthday.
I've kind of followed her along in her schools, and the science teachers are always really excited to bring someone in to show the class different things and kind of expose them to new technologies. It's always like at whatever level that they're at, but I think just knowing, one, that you're like successful in an area that everyone thinks is cool, like robots are cool, right? And whatever image they have of that, that's fine with me as long as they get excited with it. But then really kind of making it the focus of how do you get there, right? I got the job that I have and I love because I'm passionate about this. But what drives that passion is knowledge. And, you know, knowledge means you have to do well in school. So it kind of all ties back into this, like, do well, kiddos. And, you know, let me show you how to apply some of these things. Once you see the science applied, I think you get a lot more kids interested. Otherwise, it's just theoretical, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's that transition where you see in youth going from kind of, you know, taking on information, doing homework, right? It's kind of this rinse and repeat process of you know, exposure, then testing, then repeat. But when you start seeing that initiative side of things, that's you know, where that initiative is the time when I think folks like these programs, right, and that extra involvement, exposure to what's beyond the four walls of your school and going to class every day and being able to, you know, start to get creative in your own mind about things that you enjoy from, you know, being exposed to them in school. I think that's making that transition is what a lot of these programs are about. But you hit it on the head, Jeff, when you got a one and done kind of thing. It's like, well, what do I do next? Like, and that is, that's one thing I noticed when I was an MC at the FLL event. I'm like, you know, for some of these teams, this will be it for the season. This is the one competition they went to. That'll be it. And with the other programs, they've tried to expand and do more of a tiered system. And I know, Elizabeth, you've got. I know one of your kids is definitely a self-driven entrepreneur as well as creative type when it comes to the technical stuff. Well, I think both your kids are creative, but your son in particular likes to build stuff and.
Yes, so it's great to see the both sides because my daughter is really into. She's like very focused on her job. Like she has different work and she's very into, you know, very responsible with that, and she wants to do the best. And the people at work can see that kind
sense of ownership
mindset. Yeah. And it's really something I find that. She's on her own. She's built herself to be really on top of things in terms of any job that she does. It's really like she does it really well. And then Marek is like the entrepreneur that he's trying to create things and sell things. And, you know, like he self-taught himself how to build a computer. I was really surprised with he watched all the YouTube tutorials and things, and he did his own research. And he presented me a whole
I remember that
list of all the parts that he needed, and he did like a study of pricing and, you know, everything that he was going to require for building his PC. And he did. He actually built it himself. He purchased everything. He built it himself, and it works. So it's so cool. Interesting to see the influence that, you know, even though I'm not you know, after them to be doing these things, it's kind of like they make their own decisions on
that
where
initiative.
They're going to stand. Yeah, the initiative, and
so important.
It's both of them have different characters, and, you know, Isabella is more detailed oriented, and he's a little bit more like distracted, but he can do a lot of creative stuff too. So yeah, it's really cool.
That's cool. Did either of your kids or both of them, were they involved in any like particular STEM programs at some point?
No. Isabella really likes science, so she in the school she was taking all the biology and chemistry classes. Marek is very motivated with development and coding, and he did take I got him in a class that they were doing some code development, and he really liked that. So now in computer science, he's actually doing pretty well, but not specifically a program like that. But I found a program that is designed for teenagers that is called the Knowledge Society, and they have a 10-month program that is extracurricular program after, not to replace high school, but it's really tailored to teach the kids at that age the new technologies, even STEM and some life science. They have included some programs for life science and biology, and it's really interesting the way that they have laid out that program. So it's something I'm looking into for Marek.
It's definitely cool that they've both been able to spend some time with you at the office over the years to see. I mean, that's where you're working on real deal life science research and development projects and automation. So a lot of opportunity to
around that.
Right. A lot of opportunity to think inside that space. So very cool.
I think, Elizabeth, you kind of hit something that's really ubiquitous in our society today, which wasn't around when Mike and I, you, Sura probably as well, wasn't around. Okay, we're talking like the YouTubes and the free stuff.
I was just going to say that.
That stuff,
Just
it wasn't
game-changing.
there. Yeah. And the fact is Marek went out on his own and found the stuff, got a price list of the parts he needed, what he needed to do. That is, number one, ingenious. Number two, shows me he has a lot of curiosity. And he's driven in the fact that, damn it, I want a computer. And I got to figure out how to build this because mom and dad probably aren't going to buy me a computer, so I better figure out how to build one.
Yeah, cost
so
effective.
he did it. Yeah, cost effective. And you could bargain a little bit with mom and say, hey, if you get me this, maybe I can pay for some of that or whatever. But curiosity is the biggest thing. And the fact that you can get any of this information online for free. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. And the internet has been a game changer in that regard.
Yeah, I definitely want to interject because, I know I'm only 25, but back in the day.
Okay. Timestamp.
Goodness. Can you imagine? Like, I built a computer, back when the first, Apple IIe kind of made us all think about it in that way. But, I built a computer. I'm sure Mike's built computers. Can you imagine if we had YouTube, if we had the internet, if we had the resources that they have today? We were so driven and passionate about what we did that we figured it out. We went to all sorts of places you had to go and people you had to meet to learn about this stuff to make it happen. Today, it's just everything's at your fingertips. If you're passionate about it, you have overload in terms of what you can drive towards and get information from. Amazing.
Very true. Yeah.
And that's a good point too, because it's kind of now we are in a challenge of guiding them to choose what information they go to.
There's so much
right?
to
because
choose from.
There's so much, and they cannot digest or discern what is the best information, and that is a parent's challenge, I guess, at this time of where we are now with all the information.
And remind them, Wikipedia is not encyclopedia. Anybody can edit those pages.
Yes, exactly.
PSA message.
Well, now the new thing is ChatGPT,
Right, you can edit.
Look for my name on the bottom of.
Reference Mike Ouren, his opinion.
No editorial here on Wikipedia. No, not at all.
But it's so fascinating. True. Even in the areas that aren't tech, when kids are passionate about it, they'll find ways to get parents to acquiesce. My daughter's into horseback riding, and one of the kids really wants a horse. And she made these amazing PowerPoints, and she kept editing and changing them based on her parents' feedback.
Like Merrick with the computer.
To get her to this
Man.
Point. But that drive was fascinating. Oh, yeah. You have to learn PowerPoint. You have to actually present to people. What a junior CEO. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
Yes.
Seems like,
Remember-
they're thinking, it
Merrick,
seems like
I
my
shared with
parents
you.
are excited about coming home after a very good PowerPoint presentation. Maybe I should put that into my repertoire.
I know you
and
said
that will
no,
impress them.
but I took your feedback, and here are some counter arguments.
I did
my
a
kids
cost-benefit
have that.
analysis, and I want to run it by you.
Yes,
I made
Wait,
an
what?
assumption about your budget, and based on my assumption, you could afford 2 horses.
that's exactly what my kids did. Many times. Remember, I shared with you, Mike, once that Marek was presenting because he wanted an Apple Watch. And he
the
did
watch,
a whole
of course.
analysis and a presentation to convince me that
But
that
like,
was
so
the best
amazing.
option.
Just
The health
confidence,
topics.
the information.
I'll be more on time.
Amazing.
Yeah. How long have I been going on this presentation? I don't know. I don't have a watch.
Exactly. It was
You won't have to pour water on the bed to get me to wake up, no, right? Yeah. This will be more effective.
But that's
yeah,
the
and I go
thing,
back to
think,
that
from-
presentation every time he doesn't complete his assignments. And like, you have a watch. And you can tell he convinced me.
And then they learn about the counter argument. Okay, once you have what you have, well, you get expectations, right?
Yeah.
You know, with all
How do you
tools
turn a
come
yes into more?
Well, think about this.
with all tools come responsibility.
Sura, your daughter's having a birthday today. She's 12. If you think about if she were just to take the next 10 years, let's say dive into AI stuff, okay? We're kind of in the infancy here, start to dive in, and she really bears down and learns over the next 10 years. At 22, you put on a resume, I've got 10 years of experience. What? You're 22? Yeah, I do. And you can't take that away from me because I figured it out. It's all online. I got it done. So come at me, right?
Yeah, but that's the interesting
So-
thing. Like, you know, you have to really also, as a parent, take a step back and realize like where their passions are. Like, I'm into engineering and science. She's into like art and athletics. So it's not going to be that way. But I'm constantly telling her like Steve Jobs says it takes 30,000 hours to be an expert. So do something now and stick to it. Because, you know,
Yeah.
I regret that. Like, when we were younger, we followed our passions, and I ended up doing the things that became my job. So I was lucky, right, to use those hours to get experience in that way. But not a lot of people do. And then they end up being 30 and being like, oh, I want to be an expert in this because now I love it. But they never thought about it before. And now it's going to take you a lot longer. So, like, when you see that inception of passion within the children or the younger generation, it's really great to provide opportunities to nurture it, because who knows what can happen when you provide that to them.
Sure. And that's one piece of advice I would definitely give. I mean, given all the tools that you have, all these resources that you can collect information, none of them will make you an expert at something. That is pure time, experience, and work that comes with that, right? I mean, if you're going to be a master, like one example of that is if you go into the masterclass page website, right? The people that are on there, none of them did what they're talking about in less than 25 years, right? So most of them spent their whole life doing something. I mean, there was one case where the Canadian techno Deadmau5, right? And you know, he's very talented, but when he starts talking about how he got to what he was doing, he's a relatively young guy. He's not, but he's been doing this since he was 8 years old. Like, he was tinkering around with amplifiers and mixers and just analog sound devices, right? Mini Moogs. And I mean, but that's like, if you look in this room, he's just got wires and wires and wires. Nobody can discern this except for him. I mean, I think it's just one of those things. It always takes time. And that's something we emphasize, and when I was mentoring teams, we would always emphasize, it's like, you're not going to be a master of this overnight. In fact, next season you'll get better, and the next season you'll get better, and the next season you'll get better. So, a lot of this, I think, information availability can create an expectation of mastering something that's not really practical, right? It's only a tool. It's only a tool. And it's also not using some of those tools and finding your own way, like you were saying, Sura, right, is one of the things to do, right? It's like, you know what, I'm just going to try and figure this out. Use your spidey sense to figure out if something is really super, like, dangerous, like messing around with, like, electricity or something like that. That's something I always asked my brother when I was younger. I was like, okay, should I he's like, no, you want to put a cover on the power supply. Don't mess with that. And then, kind of give me some rules of engagement. But from there, everything on my own, right? And,
but mastering shouldn't be overwhelming either, right? Like that mastering is bite-sized chunks, right? Like when I was 7 years old and I, used one VCR to another VCR and copied like these tapes to each other VHS back in the day, because, back in the day.
The FBI's not listening, but
do you
hey,
know what
whatever.
I mean? Like there are things that allow you to gain insight that then allow you to go deeper one direction or another. Even in our current roles, right? You can't be an expert in automation and informatics all at the same time, right? Like there's liquid handling and you can go really deep into that. There's like robotic arms and other like pieces that you're custom building. And then there's like the world of data analytics and informatics and limb systems. It takes a long time and layers of mastery deep. And even when you think that you know something, you don't, right? And being like a philosophy major also back in college on top of the other stuff I did, the only thing you know is that you truly can never know anything. So that desire to learn has to always be there.
And I think we're missing one big point here. With all the things we discussed, the kids cannot be afraid to fail. We're always too busy saying, oh, you're okay, it's fine. It's like when they fall down, for those of us who have kids, 3 of us on this call, when your kid falls down, what do? They immediately look at you. And your reaction will be what triggers the emotion coming out of them. If you look at them like, okay, get up, then they don't go through the whole, I've fallen, my leg's broken. No, you skinned your knee. Relax. It's a fail. Okay. Don't be afraid to fail because you won't go back to that path again.
Sounds like Jeff parents like I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's not just children. It's anybody. Like I think I learned the most when I have failed, because if you don't fail, you don't know, you can't troubleshoot. You can't discern what went wrong, right? You can't go through the problem solving exercise. So it's beyond, the children. Like you have to fail to succeed. X number of times you have one success, you learn from it.
Yeah, and they look at somebody, you mentioned Steve Jobs a couple times already. How many times did he and Steve Wozniak fail? Quite a few before eventually something struck and it's like, okay, keep hitting the iron. It's coming out of the fire. Let's go. So yeah, you have to go through that process. It's the design cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did what they could when they could.
Green floppy, that's going to be successful.
I mean, they did what they could when they could. I mean, we don't have the resources to build up a production facility for computers, but we can make boards if people want to build their own box around it. That's what the Apple I was, and then the Apple II was essentially the best design from all the people that designed boxes for the Apple I. Okay, well then we'll make one that looks about like this, and then sell it. And yeah, I mean you just use what you have at the time. It's kind of like us starting this podcast. We started. Mm-hmm. Okay, well let's start what we have. It's a learning process.
Cobble this together and cobble that together.
I can figure out how these tools work and what the process is. And I did use YouTube a couple of times, especially for the podcast broadcasts thing where you're trying to get all that information pushed out. A lot easier today than it was 15 years ago when I started listening to podcasts.
So I have a question for the 3 of you. Is it easier to get kids on board with technology? I mean, let's face it, we're fighting the technology. There's no longer a gap. It's going this way and it's everywhere that the kids see it. Is it easier to get them involved in this if it's something that they can relate to? I'll give you a simple example, and I've never done it, but maybe it would be something where like the light bulbs you talked about. I love light bulb moments, Sura. I'm just like you in that regard, where you show them, okay, let's build a telegraph machine, which was something that they did along the railroads back in the early 1800s plus of, transatlantic trains, to get signals all the way down to the other place, the other town. So that was the first form of texting. Don't you see now? Don't you understand that? They had already figured this out. Yeah, it's really easy now.
Morse code.
Morse code, exactly. Teach them Morse code so they understand. Oh, wow. Okay, so they can now relate to the early days to now the modern day. So there's some connection there. You
Am I the
think
only
that
one that taught
helps?
their kid SOS just for, giggles? I'm like, in
There's
case
some
you get
value in
stranded
that.
on an island, here's how you do SOS. When she
There's
was like
value
5.
in that. If you're stuck in a metal dumpster, you can tap on the side, right?
Tapping, easiest thing.
Is it tap it but there's light? Using light hand signals, right? I mean, there's.
I definitely
whistle?
think it is important if they're, if they're engaged somehow. Like, it wasn't until, she was into horseback riding and making videos and editing videos that she got really into that kind of like sphere of creativity, right? And then she was getting accolades for the things that she put on YouTube and the videos she made for her friends. So I think definitely helps to have that level of like entry point engagement.
Right.
Yeah, in college we were actually required. I thought this was crazy at first, but in the end, I'm like, this is a great idea. We were required to go get our FCC examination for amateur radio. So
Wow.
You could not graduate out of Texas Tech University with a double E degree without having an FCC license. And I'm like,
That's
How
cool.
interesting.
so, but the process, though, was fascinating, including Morse code. So it was like I had to look at all these radio propagation technologies. And later on, I ended up buying some radio equipment. I talked with another person via satellite with my own radio in my own hand.
That's so cool.
So you got your own handle now?
With
The nerd in me is jealous.
with a really high frequency, uplink. And we, I basically went through, and then later on, and it wasn't that long ago, I went through the space station repeater. So it's just like, and you have to time it. You don't have much time, right? That thing. And it's just like, here I am using a technology that dates back to the early 1900s, right? I'm using a very simple radio technology, but it's fascinating me as if more than any new gadget I've ever had. So I just, at that time, and I think ham radio is still one of those things that I've seen kids just absolutely go to town. Like they get exposed to it and they want to go to every club, the M-Dark Club in the Bay Area, which is the Mount Diablo Amateur Radio Club, which I participated in. I kept up with these things, and I still thank that professor to this day for doing stuff like that, because even that connects you with so many aspects of the world. Why when I hear aircraft radio, put an aircraft headset on, it has this buzzy noise? Well, I know, right? It's like because it picks up ground effect from the rotors and all that stuff. If it's a helicopter, all those things. It explains so much in that. And I think that's something you also assume is like, oh, that's obsolete, But looking at those things is so eye opening.
Aren't those still in most earthquake kits also?
Yeah. 2 meter, usually a 2 meter and a 144 radio. Yeah, they put them in, and that's the usual handheld combination. Yeah, because if things really hit the fan, I didn't say it.
Mine's going to be able to communicate.
If it's the fan, the ham radio people are like, "Ooh, it's our time," They
We knew this was coming. Yes.
You'll see all these, you see all these guys with like 5 antennas on their Subaru Outback,
I just think it's so cool nowadays too. Like, back if you were like a GATE student, you had like accelerated, STEM courses that you were taking. Now, like these kids are actually doing like coding and advanced coding.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's so great, the introduction of all this technology at a young age. I think when my daughter was young, I bought her like a, bedtime story in like C# or something. I forget if it was like,
That's
it was
cool.
like a story, but like you're reading it in a script. It was interesting.
That is
Such
too
a
funny.
nerd.
I know. Yeah.
Nerds.
Not sure she got it. She was way too young. It made me happy.
Nerd time with the Helical Crew.
I think they know we're all nerds if they're tuning in.
Yeah, pretty much. We haven't figured
That's
out
out
we're
the bag.
nerds. We're nerds. Geeks. But that's definitely something that has been amazing to see. Like even on some of the things that Apple's done with Swift. I don't know if you ever played with Swift, but
Yes.
I mean, it just makes coding so accessible. And I remember when development kits and platforms you had to pay real money for back in the day, and now code development tools, IDEs
So cool.
are everywhere. If it's not
And you
free,
got this like 8-year-old showing you like a game they made. I mean, it just blows my mind. Back in the day, it took us so long just to like imagine this being as prevalent as it is today.
Yeah.
When it would
I
just
keep
be
using
fun,
that word,
right?
wouldn't I? I need to stop using that word.
you could definitely age identify somebody who's like, "What's your first program?" If it's Hello World, we know what era you're from.
Wait, is it?
25, really?
What's your first game? I think identifies you, right? Like, if your character died of typhoid, you're old.
Oh, Oregon Trail. Here we go.
Oregon Trail.
I don't know how many times I died of dysentery.
Your first, school computer experience, did it use a disc or a tape?
Ooh, yes.
The
Yeah.
Commodore PET. Yeah. Like, press play and wait.
I mean, okay, by show of hands, who had an Atari 2600?
I rocked Atari. Come on.
Family
Yes.
has 2600,
Rocked
yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
ColecoVision? It's a little
No,
more
I didn't get the
obscure.
Coleco.
It's like Sega,
little more extra.
Nintendo. It's like Sega guys were a little more rare. You know?
Yeah, Sega guys.
A real nerd.
Sega guys. Sonic the Hedgehog. All right, whatever. And a ColecoVision, it was BC's Quest for Tires. That was.
That was the first time I saw the parents like getting aggressive about whose child wins, because I kept winning, and the other parent would be like, "Oh, get in there," and my mom's like, "Let the children play. It's just an Atari."
Yeah, my daughter's beating all of your kids, but that's I can't do anything about that.
It just boils down to, look, if you want to beat her,
I'm sure there was a
get
sense of
better.
pride there, Sura. She's like, so she's winning, so it's good. Yeah, and then we all moved to. We had a home built PC. Well, we actually paid a guy to build it, but
You paid a guy.
we paid a guy. Yeah, that was a common. Yeah, my dad was, he was an agronomist, and so he didn't have the. We didn't bother with the building part. Then my brother built several gaming computers together later on, and but yeah, no, those experiences though. However they come though for kids today. That's what it comes down to, and I just find that these programs, because it's great for them to do things on their own, but a lot of these programs that have come up, like First and Vex, right? That teamwork opportunity, that it's like falling. You were talking about, the reaction to falling. It's also when you're among a team, they sort of self-regulates the reaction to things not going well or things going well, right? It's not like doing an end zone dance right after winning. Maybe that's not as professional. Maybe we'll just dial that back a little bit. We won, great, high five, and then move on to the next round. I would see that kind of dynamic in First, right? Where it's the lows don't go so low and the highs don't go so high. You kind of keep a balance, and they stay focused. Gracious professionalism, and they stay focused, right? Because at the end of the day, the extremes are not where you want to necessarily be all the time, right? You want to be in the middle, and that teamwork, I think, aspect brings that. It's like in a regular job too, right? When you work on a team, everybody's keeping a balance.
Can I say something though? Like, could we just normalize getting super excited about doing a good job? And I'm trying really hard not to cuss, by the way, but I feel like we're always like,
Open it up. Go for it.
Why can't we just be like all about it? Like, heck yeah, I beat you. Did you see that? I beat you. Like,
I kicked your
is that
ass.
just like back in our day? And then there was like a certain moment where everybody got a trophy just for playing. Like, that didn't happen when I grew up. Like, you got a trophy if you won. If you didn't win, like, you didn't win. I just want us to be excited about our achievements,
I hear you, but you and I are gamers, Sura. So we come from a gamer. We come from a gaming area,
The microphone, the ish.
Absolutely. I'll get that microphone extra close, and really lay into it after I win a round.
Yeah, I'm a girl. Sorry. No.
I'm sure. Absolutely. I've heard that one. I've heard that one on the comms before. It's like, I beat all you. Come on.
I
But I
have
think
to.
it's important to like really celebrate these children winning, you know, like get excited and then shake hands and wish everybody well.
Yeah. Or pick
yeah,
your
that's
moments.
true.
I don't know. That's all I would say. Pick your moments, right? Yeah,
Your
so-
moment.
when you've won the
I'm
absolute
after-
top championship, then you're like, mic drop.
Not Mike Tyson drop.
Oh,
Oh God.
Don't say that.
Don't go
What
there.
happened?
$20 million. That's what happened.
Oh,
man,
goodness.
that was.
Have you seen? I've seen all sorts of videos online where people like, and you look at
Conspiracy theories too, right?
yes,
Yeah.
but when you think about what he was doing in training, and you're like, this dude's gonna kill somebody. At 58, he still has it. But then you look at him in the ring, and he's biting his glove, and he's pulling punches, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this ain't Mike Tyson.
Was he high?
Not just
I don't know.
not just for the Gen X in me. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's not Mike Tyson. He held back.
He could have finished that in like 45 seconds.
Yes.
He
I
must
mean,
have had
you look
jam
at-
in
It
it.
was,
You look at how Jake Paul had some of his openings, and Tyson would have capitalized on that. It's like, pow. I don't know. It was rigged for sure,
Oh.
but whatever.
I mean, I couldn't watch it, but I was following the endless text streams from you guys, and I was like, "What is happening?"
well,
Oh, yeah,
apparently
and
nobody could watch it.
And
Netflix failure.
sucks came up a couple times.
I mean, as soon as the Tyson fight came on, all of a sudden my screen, it didn't go out, but it got all blocky, like we're looking at 480p or something.
What the heck?
Right.
Like
Am I on NES or what?
640 by 480. Here we go, VGA. Yeah, so it did not go well. I think Netflix learned that live production is a little tougher than you might think. You might want to call up those folks at NBC, and they'll probably just hang up the phone on you and say, should have done it on our network. And,
We saw what you did, losers.
I mean, Netflix, man, when they told me you can get like a DVD for free, like in the mail as soon as you finished one and not have to go to the video store, that was incredible. And then they moved to streaming.
sold.
It was just like, those guys talk about the foray. Like, do you remember walking down like video stores and trying to pick what you're going to watch and asking the guy for
Blockbuster.
recommendations?
Yeah.
They even had
Netflix went up, Blockbuster went down.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Blockbuster actually had a shopping, a little, like a basket that you could, that's how people would like binge videos back in the day. It's like, here's my shopping basket.
But then
you had to
know
get-
that you also like were judged by what you were holding because you were also judging what other people were holding. So Netflix takes that out of the equation. Although they did ask for like the friends to see each other's like watch history, and I was like, why go there? Why?
Are we
I don't want
missing
my
out
friends to
by
see.
not being judged on what we're renting? I mean,
I don't know. It strikes conversation, doesn't it? Someone be like, "Oh, I watched that movie." Now we've kind of like, extracted that out.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, right. Maybe it's how people met too. It's like, oh yeah, I've watched the 3rd episode. Let me know what you think. Oh, here's my number. Right, video dating.
Yeah,
Video rental dating.
Video dating.
Like, there's all kinds of things that, like, going to an actual retail thing have inspired. But yeah, and then you got the Redbox thing, right? Is it Redbox?
Oh yeah.
The thing that's out in front of
That was
7-Eleven.
That's
a thing.
still around?
Is
I
it?
still
I
see
don't
them.
know. Is it? Oh.
Do you?
The 7-Eleven down the road from me has one. It looks like it's been completely sun damaged. Just sitting outside, and I wonder if
It's more like a pink box, not a red one anymore.
it actually works. But yeah, it's there.
I guess my segue is like they've come so far, they couldn't get like the live streaming correct. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, that was
Yeah.
their very first live stream boxing event. I'm guessing they're probably not going to get the opportunity to do that again. So,
Probably not.
I have
They
a.
probably
I have,
bid for that too, right?
oh, I'm sure.
yeah, I mean, it's a way to get their name out there. It's like Apple is doing MLS soccer, right? I mean, why would Apple to get
Oh,
into
yeah.
MLS soccer? It's just, well, there's a whole bunch of people's attention you're going to get if you put it on your
Across the
platform.
world.
That's
I
the
do
only.
like
It's a,
that though.
yeah, it's a pure, attract new customers decision, and how much does it cost? That's pretty much all it is. So Netflix live production. You know what though? I have a theory. I mean, think about it. Cable customers, right? They don't have the bandwidth and the bandwidth allocation for actually distributing something like that on that scale. That's not the way the internet was intended. It's more, if you go back, it's packet based Yeah, I mean, there's some real-time stuff. If you do low data, high speed, right, that works pretty well. But when you start bringing up the data on that scale, I don't know. I mean, it's not the first time it's failed like that on a large scale. Everybody won the Olympics. Olympics were problematic too.
Oh, were they?
Oh yeah.
I didn't watch any of them, so I don't know.
I watched the
yeah.
breakdancing. First year breakdancing.
The breakdancing, first and last year of breakdancing.
It was awesome until you got, Australia up in there. That's where all the memes went down. It was awesome when Snoop Dogg came out. When all the breakdancers did their thing, that was awesome.
He was there for practically every event.
Australia, though, Hugh Jackman is their ultra star. Other than that, I don't know what's happening there.
Oh, what about Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
Yeah, Mel Gibson. Hello.
Mel Gibson. Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't he go a little?
He's not mental.
Well, I didn't. I mean, nothing about the normalcy part. I just,
just people from there. That's all.
And
AC/DC. Hello.
Well, and what about the Gladiator, Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe.
Do they meet Hugh Jackman though? I mean,
Russell Crowe's pretty well. I mean,
didn't he have
Gladiator's
a
pretty badass.
scandal though?
Wolverine.
Yeah.
But Hugh Jackman's not going on tour next year. AC/DC is.
I cannot believe.
Jeff.
I think that would be okay. Look, there's that one opportunity that you might get a chance to see this band because they're on their way out. They're old. They're, sponsored by AARP.
Who's getting that mail in the mailbox? Tell me who on here is getting that?
You've gotten it too, Mike. I'm sure.
Not yet.
Oh, I'm going to submit your name now just for
Wait,
that.
what did you say? Who's gotten mail from AARP?
She doesn't even know what it is.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Well, when you're only 25, wink, wink.
25 forever, baby.
AARP's like AAA for old people.
Sounds like a rap song.
Yes.
Yeah. AARP.
You down with the EDC? No, I'm down with the ECHO. I'm a Mac. You're a PC. We don't hang out,
Episode 8, worth your time.
Shameless plug. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. I mean, Australia, as far as actors. Oh, and also the gal that plays Joker's girlfriend. Why can't I think of the
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. She's from Australia. Oh, anyway, there's breakdancing. I mean, so speaking of the Olympics, just curious, the opening ceremony, was that cool or what? I thought that was very different from a typical opening ceremony. But
very different, yeah.
Having been on that river and been on one of those boats, that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty nice. There was one performance that I was confused about, but I'm not gonna badmouth the singer. Good job on being on the Olympics.
Yeah. They called you back. So anyway, well, that's a slight deviation from our original topic of education, STEM programs, and inspiring youth.
No, the Olympics, the Netflix.
On how to explore the wide world of technical and non-technical professions.
There you go.
I can tie this in. I can tie this in. I'll bring us back, but I can tie it in.
Bring it on
Do
back.
it.
Fix the internet, kids.
Remember earlier in our conversation, I talked about some things that bother me when it comes to the being part of the team. Now, we've talked a little bit about the Olympics, and there's all sorts of ball sports there, yes. And I like sports, team sports, that kind of stuff. One of the things I struggled with was kids who have 10 other activities in their lives.
Oh.
They've got basketball, volleyball, soccer, track, cross country, you name it. It's like, how do your parents find the time for this? And it was always like the stuff that we were talking about. It's like, yeah, you're not going to become an MLS soccer athlete or a Division I athlete at University X, but I can get you to the worlds where you're competing against other kids your age on the world stage that you can compete with. I can take you there. We can get there, but I can't get you a D1 scholarship. And it was always a drag on the program. And that's what really bothered me.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw that, Mike.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Did you?
Absolutely. We saw that. It's like one of the parents pulled up a calendar. It's like, wow, I'm like, you're a busy person. It's like, that's my kid's calendar.
Yeah. That's when you just want to say to him, this is probably not for you.
And it wasn't in the end, So it's
I don't know. I always say, bless your parents for being able to afford all these things. Like,
yes.
you just have to honestly give them like accolades. They're trying to put their kids in whatever they can, and the fact that they have the resources and funding to do that, like, bless them and their family.
Yeah.
Now, whether they should or not, that's their call. But definitely, if you don't focus, you'll never get to that level that you want to be.
Mastery,
you could
right?
be a parent like me that's like, well, you're going to do the Olympics, because if you're going to do the Olympics, I'll buy you a $600 pair of ice skates. If you're not, I will not.
Yeah, it's the parallel activities thing. I think it's not the variety over time, but it's just doing things in parallel.
That's a lot.
Yes.
It's like that part. It's what. Well, actually, it was clear after everything was done. The kids that were hyper focused on the robot, or something else, maybe not the robot, maybe programming or doing their own little game company or whatever. They're all doing extraordinarily well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the more not sure where to go, I think it's going to be more time before they kind of figure out to get in the zone, because as somebody who interviews people for jobs, it's I look for that hyper focus, right? That hyper interest, and it makes a difference, when it comes down to it. But yeah, no, it's kudos to trying different stuff. Absolutely, it's like it's all how you want to do it, and sometimes you can get multiple kids to do the same activity. It's like one's older, one's younger. Okay, they're doing both doing that, so that definitely helped. We had two brothers that were off doing sports at the exact same time. Then they do the robot at the exact same time, and they could compartmentalize their lives together a little bit.
Yeah.
As opposed to the mom.
Pull it off.
Yeah. As opposed to the mom having to zigzag across the town just to keep up.
It's the time. It's not only the the cost of it, but it's the time as well. And you obviously you have to put time on your own activities, so it really takes a lot to plan and manage everything. And
it's a lot of
for
work.
my case, it's a community that kind of have helped me raise and put the kids in different activities. When Paul was with us, he was very passionate about sports. So he was always taking us to Taekwondo, and I found that was one of the activities we really liked as a family, that we all went. Now we kind of stopped for a while, but it's been the discipline that the kids get from that is amazing. So it's not a team sport, but it's just being there, being disciplined, and trying and choosing the right master for them also helps a lot, so they can learn from the activity, not just go and train and then come back home. They learn something from it. So that was and possibly something that they will go back when they are older, because it's you build that into your life, like you want to continue practicing, and it's really cool. One other thing is that depends, like some sports are just they're playing alone, and it doesn't really build that team mindset. So that's why it's good to involve them in sports or activities that you have the team around. So
we have to depend on others on the team to accomplish the goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I talk to them a lot about that, and especially because I'm managing a team, that they can see that it's not one person that is doing the job. It's the whole group, and the achievements or whatever happens, everything is you have to be responsible and accountable together. So
and have to juggle all those personalities too.
Exactly.
for sure.
And the same thing at home. I guess it's the same thing. You know, they have all different personalities. Some are leaning and being more like you. In the other case, like, you have to really find a way to understand and communicate.
Definitely. And communicate different ways with different people, right? I mean, that's part of some of the sales training I've received over the years. It talks a lot about, because, you know, engaging with people is part of the job, right? Engaging with different personalities that's another way to get to mastery, right? You know, it's around understanding and working with different people. So yeah, your kids have had a lot of exposure and living and being in different countries too.
Yes, that too. And one advice I got from my tech group when, you know, we were discussing about having family in the company by being a business owner is that you don't get your kids in your company before they get some experience outside at other jobs. Let them go find their job, gain experience, learn things, and then you can hire them afterwards if you feel like that they are a good fit. But don't just bring them into your business because, you know, they're related. And that is the best advice I've gotten so far in terms of pushing them to do other things, to learn and, you know, apply for jobs. And one of the good things that I like about their high school is that they have a business major. So they have been training them on how to apply for jobs, how to present themselves, how to create a resume, everything that even from this age, they are already being trained on how to go and apply for a job. So I find that is a really good skill to get from the very early age.
Yeah. Super valuable.
Then another question for the three of us, one word answer. What's the one thing you would say to someone, let's just use it at the early age, our kids' age, whatever, that you would say to them if they want to get into this industry? I'll pick mine. Okay. I would say, it's not a one word, it's two words. Be curious. Always be curious about everything, because you're going to run into different situations. I think Sura hit it on the head earlier in this conversation about different situations are going to come up, and you're like, I've never tackled that before. This is different. You better be curious on how to solve it, and you're going to fail. So, but just be curious. How about you, Sura?
I like that very much. I think I would say do it.
Nice.
Do it.
That's been taken.
Do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Swoosh.
I never thought I was going to be in this industry, and kind of got pushed into it in a way. And I'm so thankful at this point that I'm here because I've learned so much. It's been a whole learning experience from the very beginning when I started until now, and also becoming like an entrepreneur and running the business and everything. It was not in my plan, my life plan at that point. So now with that, I always talk to the kids about it. Like, you know, you have to be ready to kind of get those challenges and decide what you want to do. And as long as you do something that you love, you will be happy. So that is my biggest advice for them. Like, do something that you're passionate and that you really want to spend the rest of your life on, or at least, you know, majority of your life you're going to be doing this.
Yeah, you want to like it, you know. Don't
yes.
do something you don't like.
Yeah, yeah, you don't want to be that kind of person that's miserable going to work. So yeah.
What's your key phrase, Sura?
You know, I think mine would be you can. I'm a zero-generation immigrant to this country, right? And everything I did just purely out of passion and desire to succeed and do things that I like. And I just never took anyone's, you know, you can't do that or it's never been done. I never internalized that. I could, I can, and I will. And that's kind of what I did. And when you look at like my career trajectory, it's very, you know, coming from where I came from to be where I am. I'm very proud of it. And I think you just have to remember that you can do it, and you can do it better than anybody can because it's your journey. So don't hear the can't. You can.
You can do it, Nemo. You can do it.
Was that a line in Nemo?
Is it? can't
No, it's
remember.
always, you can't do it, Nemo. You
Yes.
just can't.
Right.
Yes. Don't
Right.
listen to Nemo's dad.
No, yeah.
That's right.
How about you, Mike?
Network. Every opportunity, every engagement with another person is an opportunity to learn, and
Yeah.
is having a conversation. People love, at the end of the day, people love talking about what they like to do, or they like to talk about other things, whatever. But I think I've learned more and gotten more inspiration from that, and I grew up with that. My dad was in sales his entire career, so I grew up with his natural acumen.
It's all coming together. Now I understand.
Right.
Okay.
It comes from
not-
somewhere, right?
Yep,
Right.
it does. It's in his DNA now.
Yeah. My dad
Okay.
was an engineer, so same.
There you go. Yeah, and somehow, my dad was an agronomist, and both my brother and I studied the exact same thing in engineering. I think that networking, just never stop networking, and also there's there's certain age range where I think networking is leveraged the least when it's actually the most valuable, and that is
100%.
around high school area, and maybe going into college a bit, but there are opportunities to be exposed to some incredibly talented people with that kind of proximity, where family member, right? Oh, I know somebody that does this or whatever. Having these conversations, but you've got this network so close to you that we don't always think to use it, and I think that's one. It's take advantage of that time, especially, and also siblings too. You got that different age, right? And kind of, even though you maybe didn't get along when you were both in the house, well, now one of them's out of the house, right? Maybe go see what they're doing a little bit, and get that inspiration.
When you talk about that, Mike, I just want to. I have no affiliation with this group at all, but they're local to my area. Place that started this, it's called Start Ed Up Foundation, and they do exactly what you're talking about at the high school level, networking kids to and investors, and that some of these kids go through competitions. I'll just show real quick. Yeah,
pitching
absolutely.
people. That's a skill all in and of itself. Sure. Yeah.
Yep. So, where is it? Window. Here. So, Start Ed Up, connecting classrooms to the real world. So, and it talks how they do it. I met with the guy who started this. Pretty amazing stuff. He's taking kids to Wall Street on trips and that kind of stuff, and they're doing pitches and all sorts of things. So this is built into the high schools. So it's pretty awesome. I've not had my kids go through this experience, but it's pretty big. He actually used to teach at the local high school here and was doing this as a side thing, but then retired from teaching after 20 years and went to this full time. So
Yeah.
the guy who started it was right here, Don Wettrick. So
Very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's similar to what I was talking earlier, the Knowledge Society. They also have, the ideas, mentorship, coaching, and guiding the kids on learning on their own. So it's really cool.
That's super cool. That kind of reminds me of, as you were talking through that, I was thinking about the Khan Academy. I don't know if you've seen that. That's very cool. I've gone through a couple things on there, and fields are definitely not my area of expertise, and that's a really great resource as well for just it's more than YouTube. It's a real classroom environment, structured classroom environment. That's and Elizabeth, the word come to mind.
I think I said mine.
Oh, did you?
You were
do
last,
it?
Mike.
I was
you were
last.
last.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
She was the just do it.
Just do it.
That's right.
Okay.
Try it. Yeah. Get into it.
3 words.
3 words.
We took liberties.
Just phrases. That's all.
All right. Well, I think anybody have a pick of the week? I have one.
I do not.
Nope.
Until it arrives at my door, I'm supposed to get a 4K camera, but it ain't here yet. So.
Well, you can see what the camera look. This is the same. This is
Look
the
at
image.
Mike, and that's what
This
you'll
is the
see.
4K image. You can, yeah. So you will have the ability to in real time change your
Zoom in, zoom out.
Wow.
Zoom in.
Meanwhile, I'm stuck on the phone
Very
because
nice.
I can't figure out how to blur on the computer.
You can, yeah, good. Vary the angle. Yeah, and are you on? You're on the phone again, right, Sura? Yeah.
Yeah, the
Sura,
app didn't work. I don't know.
The blurring. I'm on. Yeah, right now I'm doing this again from the Riverside Mac app, which, for if you're not blurring your background, seems to work okay. Yeah. So mine's going to be the Mac Mini. I've had it now for over a week, and this thing, the M4 Mac Mini,
Screamer.
like I don't even need to pull up a website. Everybody goes Apple, website if they want to go check it out. But it is smoking fast. And I had a guy tell me that they've got the studio version of the M1 or M1, which is a powerhouse in and of itself. It's quite a bit bigger. It's got bigger cooling and all that, and it has way more cores than this does. However, this one can outperform it. The basic M4, as I understand it, the basic M4 Mini can outperform a, maybe 75% souped up M1 Studio, that's saying something. These processors have only come out in the last 5 years. So whatever the Apple Silicon, big fan. Unfortunately, though, it has hit the reset button on software development because, anytime you make a core change like that in a computing platform, which Apple has done 4 times, the 68,000, Motorola, the PowerPC, the Intel, and now Apple Silicon. So they've done 4 cores. That's actually a lot because how many cores have you seen on Windows? 1.
Yeah.
x86. And now ARM. There is an ARM Windows. Okay, so in all fairness, 2. But that wasn't a core change. Apple actually went up and redid the entire product line over time, right, on every one of these changes. I remember I had the last PowerPC Wall Street MacBook, and it was then it went to the Intel. Everybody was like, wow. And then now you're going from Intel to Apple Core, and it's like the ability to control your software. I get it. What Steve Jobs always said, he's like, we have software and hardware in the same place. Tim Cook has definitely carried on that mantra. But, the fact that you can do all that together, which got me thinking about, like, life science equipment. What if we made, like, a standard for we all create an organization where you can have a standard form factor like you do for computer servers for life science equipment. 10U, 20U, 5U, right? Right? I mean, SBS plate.
Let's do it.
With quick connection and communication standards. There I go with an S word again.
Because even the Mac Mini was designed to go into a U standard drawer, right? And you put them in. You can actually lay out multiple ones in one drawer at a certain height. I think it's a 3U, 2U, or 3U. Anyway, and you can put them in a blade. I think it's 6 computers per blade with enough cooling, and then you can stack those up. So now you're going to see basically supercomputers with multiple Mac Minis connected by 120 gigabit. Get this, the Thunderbolt speed on the Thunderbolt port of a $1,300 computer is 120 gigabits.
Wow.
That's on a cable. Yeah, 120 gigabits, though. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop geeking out, nerding out.
No kidding.
Over the top on my Mac Mini, but it's, going from an Intel iMac to that has been fantastic. So, any other? We've already. I think we've covered it. So we'll wrap up for the day, and on this wonderful Friday, November 22nd, 2024, coming up to the end of the year, coming up to our
very close
live production. We got to talk more about that, Jeff. We saw. I saw that on the chat. That's a reminder.
Yeah,
do
I'm looking online, and I'm looking at some pricing. There's some Black Friday deals, and I really want us to do that. I just think that would be so cool. It's either going to work or it's going to be an epic fail. And I don't care. The fact that we tried it, yeah,
Like
I
Netflix.
think it'd be so cool. And I think someone did on our WhatsApp chat that someone sent them comments and saying it's so cool that they, was it you, Sura?
Sura.
Yeah. Someone said that she was interviewing. They're like, I saw your podcast. It's so cool because no one's doing it.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys. Nice job.
Thank you. More comments. Feel free to put
Repost
them in
and
there.
share.
Yeah, repost and share all over the place. All your own socials, Facebook, Instagram. Take all of it. Just take it all.
Yeah. Well, thank you all, everyone who's listening for joining us for the Helical Brew. And, of course, you can reach us on YouTube at Helical Brew on youtube.com or our favorite podcast repeaters, either Spotify or iTunes. Unfortunately, the video is not available on iTunes because they require a separate RSS feed if you want to do Spotify video. But if you go to Spotify or YouTube, definitely going to be video. And check us out there. Or helicalbrew.com. And you can email us at helicalbrew@gmail.com. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Helical Brew. We're glad to have you with us. For more episodes, please visit our website at helicalbrew.com. That's helicalbrew.com.